Yay! So I have no idea how it's going to work. I absolutely just decided to attempt Twitch along with my YouTube and Twitch. And also on top of that, I'm going to play a book and we're just going to hope that it's okay. Tonight I've already done a horde night. I did some looting with my brother, and now I've just got a bunch of stuff to do. It's a lot of stuff that has no real funness. So I'm going to put a book on in the background, and we're just going to hope that this book is okay. I'm definitely going to mail a letter to the author, which is my absolute favorite author, and we're going to see if it's okay. But, you know, as I'm learning and growing, we're going to experiment. So, tonight, while I'm sorting inventory and going to the traders, we're going to listen to Until the End of the World. Well, I'm going to listen to it and hope you get to listen to it. It's Until the End of the World by Sarah Lyons Fleming. I plan on playing for about an hour. That may or may not be a chapter or two. It's my favorite book ever. Well, she's my favorite author ever, and this book I only randomly found. It's perfection, people. But okay. So I'm not going to talk very much. If you chat, I appreciate it, and I may or may not interact, but really tonight is just an inventory offload while we listen to a book. All right. Let's go, people. I'm trying a whole new setup, so there's a light here now. Because I've gone blurry too many times.
Chapter 1.
All right.
Today is the kind of spring day that used to make me feel like anything was possible, that it would all work out in the end. I used to love days like this. Of course, that was before I started avoiding spring altogether. It isn't easy to avoid an entire season, especially one this glorious. But for the past 3 years, I've managed it. I close the blinds, stay out of the sunshine, and keep to myself, so as not to dredge up memories of that first terrible spring. But this year feels different. I can't help but enjoy the breeze that promises summer is coming. It's the kind of day that puts a spring in your step, where you believe hope does spring eternal. I dreamt about Adrian last night, but it wasn't the usual dream, the one that wakes me up in tears with that empty feeling in the pit of my stomach. We were sitting on the porch steps of my parents' cabin. Our legs were stretched out, feet resting on the ground. I was wiggling my toes. There was nothing else. Sure, the bees buzzed among the flowers and the trees whispered in the wind, but that was it. There was just quiet. And peace. The kind of peace that didn't seem to follow Adrian as much as it was a product of him. When I woke up, that feeling stayed with me, and I started thinking that maybe it could be mine again. My friend Penny's dark ponytail swings as we pass the brownstones and apartment buildings of our Brooklyn neighborhood on our way to work. I haven't told her about this feeling, even though I tell her almost everything. I'm like a squirrel with a nut, wanting to hide it away for safekeeping, to turn it over and examine it. Penny glances at my feet. "You wore your new shoes." I nod. It's still too cool, but I wore the delicate straw sandals anyway. I thought they might make me feel feminine and strong.
We are right
that
now.
Maybe they would help me
We're
to embrace and welcome spring again. Relying on
We're gonna
shoes...
pause it. Yes, we are going to attempt to listen to the series. I'm gonna mail the author Sarah Lyons Fleming a letter with my TikTok, YouTube, and let me go back. I'm gonna get smashed. I'm gonna message her and say, "Hey, can I please?" But we're gonna ask forgiveness. I absolutely Until the End of the World. So Sarah Lyons Fleming She has 3 series of books. She has Until the End of the World, which takes place from New York as they make it to Alaska. It's so good. It's a 3-book series. And then um, there's a series from the brother of the people from the original series and how they survive and thrive, sort of, in New York. And then there's a whole nother series that happens in the same time frame that's in California, well, Oregon, that area. I love them. I love it so much. Tonight I'm just doing an inventory offload, and I was like, I'm gonna put a book on. I'm very new to streaming, so I'm gonna attempt to push the boundaries, I guess, and see what I can and cannot do. Um, yeah, so we're listening to an audiobook right now. I'm going to push play. It's very beginning. We are at chapter 113. We're at 2 minutes in. So we're done now. I won't interrupt again.
To do all that is pretty dumb, but I need all the help I can get. Penny raises her face to the sun and sighs with pleasure. She moved here from Puerto Rico when she was 10, after her father died. Even after all these years, she still takes winter as a personal affront. My mom was called in last night. Something to do with the LX virus, Penny says, and pushes her vintage glasses back up where they belong. She says there are a lot of cases in New York now. Bornavirus LX has spread across the world in the past few days. So far, it's only been found in the Midwest and West. I haven't been paying much attention because in the spring, I never do. Did she say how many? No, but she's pretty certain the quarantine of St. Louis means it's going to get bad. They quarantined St. Louis? I'm shocked that it's come to that. Yeah, late last night. Chicago, too. And air traffic is suspended from the west. We stop at the front door of the Sunset Park Community Center, where we both work. How do you not know all this? You're usually the one telling me these things. I've been distracted. I didn't listen to the news this morning. I want to tell her more, but I'm not sure what there is to tell. It's just a mental shift or something, and if it comes to nothing, I don't want to advertise the fact that I've failed. Penny glances around and twists her lips. James kissed me last night, she says to the concrete. James what? I yell. She shushes me and I lower my voice. We just walked all the way to work and you tell me now? I look at the time on my phone. Crap. There's a meeting. I have to go. Penny smiles.
Perfect.
She did this on purpose, so I wouldn't bother her about it the whole way to work. I
yes,
knew
she
it,
did.
I say, and narrow my eyes, even though I'm grinning. We're 28 years old, and you still won't tell me when you like someone. Nellie and I have been waiting for this. You're gonna tell me later, you know. Gotta go, she sings out, as I head upstairs.
Nice.
How may I assist you?
By getting out of the way.
Chapter 2. I'm at my desk, considering beating my uncooperative computer with my stapler, when I hear a voice. Psst, Cassie. Nellie's head appears over our shared cubicle wall. Drinks later.
Wait.
I open my mouth, about to refuse, but he shakes his head and flashes me his white-toothed smile. Don't even say no, he drawls, before he sinks down. I sigh and slip on my sandals to go argue my case. I'm sure this is one time Nellie will be glad I'm backing out of plans. I sit down opposite Nellie's desk and swing my foot. New shoes? He asks. The magical properties I imbued them with this morning have not materialized. So far, the only thing they've done is create a suspicious pre-blister itch in several places. My toes are freezing. I notice my toenail polish is chipped, as usual. You like? Yeah, they're great. Have I ever given a rat's ass about shoes? He runs a hand through his messy blonde hair and tries to look despondent, but fails.
Yes, that was a whole tree I ran into.
No, you've
No
come to
judgment
tell
here.
me you aren't drinking with me. Nellie's tall, broad, and exceedingly healthy. It's
I
obvious he grew
promise
up in a
I know
place
how
where
to
they ate
play.
beef and drank whole milk and were out in the fresh air and sunshine. Without the ever-present smile, his face can look stony. He perfected it playing high school football in Texas, where a good game face is essential, especially when you're gay. I sigh. Believe me, I'd rather go out, but I'm going to try to break up with Peter tonight.
I promise
He
it's
moves,
not.
Texas style.
It's a
Now
zombie
that I've
story.
told Nellie, I can't
promise
chicken
you.
out of the breakup at the last minute without getting tons of grief. I already regret it.
It's
You
one of my
are not
favorite
going to
series
try,
ever
you
for
wuss.
zombies.
He bangs a pen on his desk and points it at
Did
me.
I hit? I ran out
We're
of my
going
own
to
truck.
do it this time. But first, we'll have a drink for fortification. I laugh because, of course, he's going to get his way. His blue eyes are
We
serious.
watch and we don't judge.
You better make a clean break,
Says
or I'll do it
TikTok.
for you. I swear I
Okay.
will this time.
I'm near my house.
I give in. I'm going to need that drink. I could use it right now, actually. Okay. He looks doubtful.
Okay.
I will, I promise. I lay my head on his desk and moan. I hate this. Why do I have to break it off? He pats my head. Because, darling, you date the wrong people. I stick my tongue out at him just as James, our part-time IT guy, pokes his head into the cubicle. There's a flush of excitement on his angular cheeks. Guys, come see, he says. The virus is in New York. We follow him down the hall to the conference room. I refrain from asking him about Penny because she would kill me, although I'm dying to. Our co-workers are perched on chairs and the long table, eyes trained on the newscaster. Bornavirus LX has been found in all 5 boroughs since yesterday. The virus first appeared in Long Xien, Vietnam last week and has since spread throughout the world. As of last night, cities in the middle and western U.S., including Denver, Chicago, and St. Louis, are quarantined, and state governors have instituted mandatory curfews. The fast-moving virus causes brain damage, which triggers the infected to aggressively attack and spread the disease through their bodily fluids. Authorities state that the virus is under control. People with a high fever and joint pain should be seen immediately by a doctor or emergency room. Please do not try to care for your sick loved one yourself. The CDC and Health Department are not releasing estimates of the number infected so far. We will be following up with more information as it becomes available. James cocks an eyebrow at me, lets out a harumph, and heads to his workspace. His hands fly over his computer keyboard. I don't ask what he's up to because I know he'll find me when he's done. Nellie and I amble back down the hall. Usually, I would comb the internet for news about the virus, but it's gone in one ear and almost out the other by the time we reach our desks. My thoughts are consumed with the tactic I'll use to break up with Peter.
One more.
There's the let's be friends, and the it's not you, it's me. And there's the fact that I'm an idiot for dating Peter in the first place and then dragging it out this long.
No, she's not.
Hey, I say to Nellie.
Hindsight
How about this?
2020.
Peter, I'm an idiot, and I can't be with you anymore because I'm an idiot. You suck at this. He puts his arm around my shoulders to stop my shivering. I don't handle this kind of anticipation very well. I'll coach you over drinks. By the time you get to Peter, you'll only have to recite your lines, okay? I give a somber nod. Nellie, why can't I just marry you? Darling, we both know who you should marry, and that door is probably still open. He's talking about Adrian. We were engaged until I ruined it. That ship has sailed,
Back
Nellie.
home.
I can't say Adrian's name out loud because I'll start crying. I know I will. It's been 2 years. He's in the Northeast, Cass. I could find out where, if you wanted me to. My face is hot. I haven't done many things I'm ashamed of, things where I've been hurtful, but what I did to Adrian is the biggie. Nellie's bringing it up today of all days must be a sign. What if I said, sure, go ahead and find him? I can't imagine that Adrian would be happy to hear from me. But that feeling from my dream still lingers, and I want it for real. I want it so badly that maybe I'm finally willing to take the chance and find out. I open my mouth, trying to find the words, right as my phone rings. Nellie raises his eyebrows like he'll be waiting for an answer, and leaves. I pick up the phone.
Hey, Cassandra!
Peter yells over loud rumblings. Where the heck are you? It sounds like you're standing on a runway or something.
I am. We're at the private airport here in D.C., waiting for our jet to New York. It's been delayed. They're saying we have low priority. There are 10 senators and their families ahead of us.
Philip Morris must be giving out vacations if you vote yes on a pro-youth smoking bill, I joke.
Yeah.
He doesn't even chuckle. Sometimes Peter is lacking in the humor department.
Anyway, I don't know about tonight. I'll be
All of
in
the
late,
ammo.
but maybe I'll come to your apartment so I can see you first thing in the morning. I miss you.
Sure, good. Just let yourself in whenever, I squeak, painfully aware that I don't miss him back. I'll see you in the morning.
See you then.
The phone clicks off. I can see him standing at the airport. He'll slip his phone into his designer name I've never heard of coat pocket and rake a hand through his dark hair. Then he'll stride off to find the most important-looking person at the airport and convince them his flight has priority over Air Force One. My stomach stops roiling now that I get to put off the breakup. When I get home tonight, I'll pretend I'm really tired or drunk or something. I know I'm being spineless, but I don't like to hurt people's feelings, even if I don't like them very much. Or, in Peter's case, when they pretend they don't have any. But mainly, I'm chicken. I've spent the past year convincing myself that Peter isn't as superficial as he seems. But now, I'm not so sure. Honestly, at first, I kind of liked how easy it was to date him. He didn't push me to talk about my feelings. He couldn't compare me to the person I'd been 2 years before. When I met him, I was coming out of a 2-year fog. But as the fog has cleared and I've become
All right,
more like the
we
old
are-
me, he's never given me more than a glimpse of something real. In true passive-aggressive
doing
fashion, I've been
a-
waiting for him to break it off. I've gotten more and more distant and even blatantly annoyed with him. This approach obviously hasn't worked. I need to imagine the after, not the part where I do it. I just need to do it fast.
Okay.
Nellie's voice floats over the wall.
You've got to rip him off you like a Band-Aid.
How do you read my mind, Nellie? It's so freaking creepy.
Sounds like you've got a reprieve. More time to drink.
So,
Practice, I mean.
James enters, holding an unlit cigarette and his iPad. He reminds me of a praying mantis,
what time is
all
it? Do I
long,
have
skinny
time?
legs and
I do
arms.
have time to make
He spends
into a
all his
trader.
time
Okay.
folded over a computer or tablet, smoking madly. I imagine him making the moves on Penny and smile. Hey, I say. He plops down and hands me his iPad, which is open to a blog page.
Look at this, Cass. It's about Bornavirus LX. It's more serious than they say.
My family's dinner table was a place where Roswell and peak oil and the New World Order were debated with enthusiasm. I found a kindred spirit in James. He loves that kind of stuff. I read aloud. As the LX virus has spread, it appears to have mutated. The last reports received suggest it may be only a matter of hours from infection to the final stage.
In the final stage, the person goes crazy.
James says. He tucks his light brown, jaw-length hair behind his ear.
Then they attack, which is how a lot of people are getting infected. It's in the saliva and blood. One site says they've been showing the same footage of Chicago for 24 hours because Chicago's a wasteland. I know a couple of bloggers out there, and their sites have been down for the past day.
A graph estimates that 50,000 people in New York City will be infected as of noon today. That's crazy, I say. 50,000? There's no way they could hide that many sick here. And they're still telling us it's not serious? He fiddles with his cigarette.
I know. They wouldn't quarantine major cities if it wasn't serious. The hospitals are filling up faster than they can handle.
I think of Penny's mom, Maria, who's a nurse. She'd know what's going
Oh,
on.
Maria.
Yeah, well, I definitely wouldn't put it past the government not to tell us anything until we're fucked. I sigh. I have to finish this newsletter. My computer is being a pain. Any mention of a computer problem lights a fire under James. He nudges me out of the way and pokes around on my computer. He shakes his head.
Dude, look at your desktop. Sure you don't want another shortcut on it?
I don't mention that I recently cleared it and thought it was neat. I pull up a piece of his hair and peer under it, choosing to ignore the defamation of my character. Are you coming out tonight?
Ah, yes, tonight.
His smile lights up his face.
The priming for the great breakup.
Nellie, you have a gigantic mouth. I know he's listening. No, I got out of that. Tonight is just good old-fashioned fun. Nellie's voice comes over the wall.
And coming up with Cassie's breakup tactic, James. Maybe you can help. Cass has gotten herself mixed up with the wrong guy, as we all know. Will you never get off that computer and I can't stand it work? That's the one that I know best.
James asks with a grin.
How about you care more about that Hot Pocket than me?
Nellie calls. James laughs as he finishes whatever magic he's worked on my computer.
Girls are more trouble than they're worth. I'd like a Hot Pocket, though. It's been years.
Penny's coming tonight, I say innocently. He ducks under his hair. And you, Nelson, I point my finger at the cubicle wall, are not one to talk about wrong guys. How many boyfriends have you had since I've known you? There's no reply.
To wear this.
I smile in triumph. James is already engrossed in his
very
iPad.
Important. You need all of
Wow,
the
I have to
benefits
see
you can.
this.
He mutters and wanders out.
Let's do 5.
Chapter 3.
I know my shit's in multiple places.
A little while later, I whisper over the wall Nellie and I share. I have gossip you don't know. Ha ha.
Oh.
Get your ass over here right now.
He commands. No, I'm busy.
You are no such thing. You barely even work. You just design newsletters and organize artsy crap for the community.
I smile. Well, all you do is act all charming and get people to give us money. And
that's how you get paid. So get your ass over here or I'll purposely pull in less this year so you lose your job.
Nellie is not
I
fair.
laugh and head into his cubicle, where he sits with a smug smile.
Yeah.
So, James and Penny kissed
Okay.
last night.
Let's see here.
He rubs his hands with glee, and I grin back.
When a bunch of us went out last week, they talked all night, he says. I thought I saw a spark. I forgot all about it because we'd given up on them ever getting together.
Well, we've got our work cut out for us there. James says he doesn't want a girlfriend, but...
But what?
asks James, who leans against the cubicle entry and smirks. But there are certain people I don't think you'd kiss if you weren't
Let's go to the
interested in
inventory.
them.
Let's go to
like
the trader.
girlfriend interested.
17.
I
I've
say,
got time.
and tug on the sleeve of his t-shirt. James doesn't exactly dress up for work.
That sentence made almost no sense,
He says, in an attempt to deflect the accusation, but his face is scarlet. I bounce up and down like a 3-year-old, but don't want to scare him off, so I change the subject. Hey, any more news on Bornavirus? Nellie gives an exaggerated shake of his head.
Y'all and your conspiracy theories. Now what? This is a government plot to overthrow society as we know it and implement a new world order?
Maybe.
James rolls his eyes.
Dude, no. It may be some sort of disease or weapon gone awry, but whatever it is, it's everywhere in the world. They're saying to get to a hospital if you're sick, but they won't say if they can actually cure it. And no one can find anyone who was sick and got better. Some cities in China are already under martial law. They're shooting people on sight.
Really? I ask.
They're always shooting people on sight in China, my friends,
Nellie says,
Oppressive government, remember?
Nellie is the foil to our belief that someone somewhere is up to something that they're covering up. James and I would have packed up for the apocalypse 10 times by now, had Nellie not brought us back down to reality.
True,
James admits.
but here's footage of a city in Germany, taken hours ago.
James hands us his iPad. Soldiers hold back bystanders while they fire on a group of advancing figures. They drop to the ground as the onlookers scream, but it's shadowy and hard to see, so Nellie is unimpressed.
Let's see what they're saying on the news.
Nellie suggests with a sigh. He steers us to the conference room.
The only way I'm going to get any work done today is if I can stop you two before Cassie has us living in her bunker until this blows over.
Hey,
I would love
said.
a bunker.
Don't make
Oh,
fun
did
of
I
my
not bring
bunker.
any repair kits?
You have a bunker?
The
James
one
asked.
time I
How do
don't
I
bring
not know you
repair
have a
kits.
bunker?
It's just my parents' house upstate. It's still full of food and stuff, like a year's worth.
Oh, I do. Okay.
James whistles. He knows that my parents were weekend
Okay.
homesteaders and had lots of food, but I guess
never
I
leave
never
home
mentioned
without
all the
them.
stuff is still there.
Sorry.
I miss the log cabin after my dream last night. It's secluded. My parents always half-kidded that it would be the perfect place to ride out the apocalypse. It was a
Sorry.
place where I would read for hours in the hammock under the trees, make a salad from the garden 5 minutes before dinner, and spend all summer playing with my little brother Eric and our closest neighbors. It's also the place where Adrian and I sat and waited for my parents to arrive, one Friday night in April 3 years ago. They never came. They never knew Adrian had proposed the night before. They would have been ecstatic. They loved Adrian almost as much as I did. Adrian and I had sat in the warmth of the wood stove. He leaned back on the couch and leafed through one of my dad's solar power catalogs. My feet were still freezing from falling into a creek on our hike, and I plopped them in his lap. "Hey, handsome," I said, and wiggled them for a foot massage. His dimple showed. I loved the way it made him look like a little boy, even with the dark stubble that was back by evening.
I don't know.
Adrian said, picking up our previous thread about the wedding.
I kind of like the whole obeying part of the vows.
I rolled my eyes, not even rising to the bait.
I already obey you.
He smiled and held up my foot to prove his point.
It's about time you started doing the same. Or at least take it into consideration when I tell you not to leap from one rock to the next because it's slippery. I'm just trying to keep you dry.
He was referring to earlier, when I had eschewed his outstretched hand while crossing the creek. I could jump to the next rock just fine, I said, right before I slid off it. Do you know Laura Ingalls told Almanzo Wilder she wouldn't have the word obey in their vows? She said she wouldn't be able to obey anyone against her better judgment. When I first read that as a little girl, I'd been so impressed.
Your hero. But you misjudged those rocks, and your, athletic ability.
His mouth curved up. He was one of the only people in the world who found my clumsiness endearing. I am the very picture of grace. I wiggled my feet. Back to work. He picked up my foot and kissed it before giving a little bow and obeying. When headlights finally shone through the front window, I jumped up. My parents might have been cell phone hating hippies at heart, but they always called. I was uneasy enough to have a mini lecture prepared. I stepped out on the porch and was surprised to see Sam, the sheriff. His hands shook as he took off his hat. The beam from the motion-activated light left his face in shadow. It's never good news when the sheriff comes to your house and removes his hat. I hadn't had personal experience with it before then, but I was pretty sure of that. I backed into the door jamb as if I could escape what he was going to
I didn't
say.
mean to sell my gas.
Cassie,
That's what I get.
Cassie,
it's fine.
your mom and dad were in an accident on the other side of town.
I'm overstocked on those.
Sam walked toward me, his hands out in a supplicating gesture. His face was haggard when he stepped into the rectangle of light the open door threw on the ground. Like gravity was working overtime on his jowls and the corners of his eyes. I gripped the door. Adrian put a hand on my shoulder.
Are they okay, Sam?
He asked.
Water filter.
Where are they?
Sam shook his head and blinked.
I'm so sorry, Cassie. I'm so sorry.
He gripped the hat in his hands so tightly that his knuckles were white.
They both died at the scene. It looks like they slid on a patch of mud. They hit a tree.
Okay, I said, and walked back in the house on shaky legs. I sat down on the couch. Adrian sat next to me and took my hand. He was crying, I noticed, as he tried to hug me. I sat there, wooden, wondering what I was supposed to do or say next. It was like I had forgotten how to be human. I couldn't remember what people did in these situations. Okay, I repeated helplessly. Sam, what should I do? I wondered if Sam thought I was cold because I wasn't crying. He and my parents were friends. They would talk gardens and hunting while relaxing with a home-brewed beer on the porch. There was nothing but pity in his eyes, though, when I looked up. He'd been the bearer of this kind of news before, and it occurred to me that if I was the only recipient who was numb and dry-eyed, then maybe he wouldn't look so sympathetic. Then I wondered why I was thinking these ridiculous thoughts instead of feeling anything.
You'll need to come down to the hospital, Cassie. I'm sorry. You can take your time.
I got up immediately because I couldn't think of anything else to do, and walked out the door with Adrian's arm around me. I've gone back there once, to scatter my parents' ashes on the land they loved and planned to live out their lives. I haven't seen it since. The news blares in the conference room.
Not to panic. They say there is much false information on the internet and to visit the CDC's website for information concerning Bornavirus LX. There are a suspected few thousand cases in New York City right now, the CDC states. If you have a high fever or joint pain, or have come in contact with someone you think may be infected, please go to the nearest hospital for treatment. Doctors say that antiviral medication must be administered immediately for optimal effectiveness.
I raise an eyebrow at James.
First I'm hearing of it, he says. Stay tuned to New York One for updates on Bornavirus LX. There will be a live statement by the Board of Health in 1 hour.
Nellie turns to us.
See? A few thousand cases, not so bad. We'll just steer clear of crazy people and get some drinks.
Maybe we shouldn't go out. I feel a pang of foreboding. Even if it's nowhere near as bad as those sites are saying, I'm sure it's worse than authorities are saying. Maybe we should hang out at my house.
No, Nellie grimaces. We are not ruining Friday evening.
I punch him. Thanks, I didn't realize my house was second only to hell.
You know what I mean. How about we go to Patty's, and we can always walk the 4 blocks to your house if we think we should, which we won't. That's fine with me, James says. I don't imagine it will be so bad that we can't go out.
I missed.
And the only thing that would keep Nell from going out on a Friday night would be a nuclear bomb detonation.
Double smash.
Nellie nods emphatically. Fine, you win, I say. Maybe I'm being a dork. There's just too much of a disparity between what we're hearing unofficially and officially. The difference between 50,000 and a few thousand is huge. Someone is wrong, or they're lying.
Oh, we need to go to Trader Bob.
Chapter 4.
I'm never gonna make it there in time.
I catch Penny in the upstairs kitchen on her break from the preschool, where she's lead teacher.
Farm.
So, you're really going to break up with Peter this time? She asks, her joy at the news unmistakable. I groan. Nellie must send out emails or texts or something. I'm going to kill Nellie. I would have told you in the next 3 seconds anyway. I decided this morning.
I may not
At this
get
rate,
there,
I won't
but
even have to do it. He'll hear the news before I see him. I wish.
Where am I?
Yeah, I'm going to, but not tonight. He's stuck in D.C. Penny squeezes my hand. She knows how much I'm dreading the breakup. Who else is coming for drinks tonight? She asks, suddenly intent on the refrigerator's contents. Well, James is coming. I just saw him. He said you're a great kisser. A blush spreads under her honey-colored skin. No, you didn't say anything. Then she freezes, and her brown eyes widen. Did you? Of course not. She pretends to throw her water bottle at me, and I duck. I'm just bothering you because you didn't tell me right away. Jerk.
Fair.
I sit and pat the chair next to me. So, tell. The pink creeps up her neck again. Okay. I don't know. Last night he asked if I wanted to hang out, and we had coffee, and then we kissed. I guess I kind of already liked him a little. It's weird because we've been friends for so long. He likes you too, I sing and rub her shoulder. She leans forward eagerly. Really? Totally. He blushed when I... Penny shakes her head, and I shut my trap as James walks in and heads to the refrigerator. She looks down at my feet and changes the subject. Can you even walk in those gigantic 1-inch heels? She asks with a laugh, because she knows I can't. It's been a challenge. I wiggle my toes. I think I'm getting blisters. April may be too early to be out with sandals on. My feet are icicles. Nice polish. I poke her in retaliation. James peeks at Penny from under his hair and smiles. Hey. Hi, Penny says. You're coming tonight? He asks as he leans into the fridge. Yeah. He straightens up and pops open a soda. What, no Hot Pocket? I ask. He laughs. Penny watches us with a look of confusion. I decided to go with the other thing, he says, and looks from me to Penny. They smile shyly at each other. I kick my shoes off and stand up holding them. I think they might want to finish this stimulating conversation in private.
Stupid.
I'm going to go wait for that news conference, I say. When I get to the door, I look back and smile when I see he's already in my seat. A blonde reporter stands in front of a hospital. Many hospitals have a backlog of cases. Police are busing the sick to other hospitals throughout the city. Nurses and doctors are being asked to come back in for emergency shifts. Penny takes out her phone and furrows her brow. Her mom might be on her way back into the thick of things. The New York City Health Department's statement is about to begin. A man with a bit of gray hair and a sizable belly stands at a microphone. He looks tired. He rubs his hand on his chin and begins. I'm Michael D'Angelo of the New York City Health Department. As you are all aware by now, we have an outbreak of coronavirus LX in New York City. While it is a serious virus, we don't want anyone panicking due to incorrect information. The CDC is providing treatment for those who have contracted the virus. We have set up emergency treatment areas throughout the city. It is very important that you receive treatment if you suspect you've been exposed. Do not try to care for an infected person yourself. The risk of transmission is great due to the nature of the virus. What do you mean by the nature of the virus? A reporter shouts. D'Angelo holds up a hand. Coronavirus LX causes aggression in the final stages. This leads to a transmission of the virus through bodily contact as patients will bite and scratch their caregivers. Transportation is set up at local hospitals to take people to the new treatment locations. Time is of the essence. As of now, we estimate there are 20,000 people infected in New York City. The reporters and all of us in the room gasp. He nods. I realize that sounds like a lot, but it is the same number of people that Madison Square Garden holds, to put it into perspective. We can keep it at that number if New Yorkers follow our guidelines. We recommend that people go out in the next few days only if necessary.
We can use the weekend to treat those affected and eliminate any new cases. Please visit our local CDC website for information on the treatment centers. Your local news stations will post the locations. We all know New Yorkers do their best under pressure, and we will have coronavirus knocked out by Monday. We need help from all of you so that we can do our jobs to the best of our abilities. Thank you.
He mops his brow with a handkerchief and steps down, ignoring the reporter's shouted questions. Everybody talks at once. Julio, our boss, uses his deep voice to catch our attention.
Listen up, everyone. We're going to finish up early today. I don't want you guys out in this any later than necessary. I'll call preschool parents to see if they'll pick up the kids early. The after-school program will have to go on as scheduled, but I want the rest of you home.
People applaud, and Julio smiles under his thin mustache. He raises his hands for silence.
All right, that means home, not out.
He looks at Nellie, who pretends to look behind him as everyone laughs.
Really, let's all take care. I'll see you on Monday.
There's a holiday atmosphere in the room as people leave to get their stuff. Penny hangs up her phone, her eyebrows straight lines with concern. I left a message for my mom. I have to get back downstairs to the kids. I guess I'll meet you later? I'm sure she's fine, I say. I'll wait for you. You're not walking home by yourself. As soon as the kids are gone, we'll leave.
Yeah,
Nellie says.
and then we'll get that drink.
I face him with my hands on my hips. Seriously? Did you not hear Julio? He shrugs as we stare at him.
Dude,
James says.
pretend it's the nuclear bomb of viruses. Let's just go to Cassie's.
Then I do need to kill this guy.
Fine.
He says with a sigh.
But we won't leave without you, Pan. Just come up when you're done.
Chapter 5. James reads me and Nellie choice snippets of virus information as we wait for Penny in my cubicle. My cell phone buzzes. I can hear my brother talking before the phone even reaches my ear.
Cass, are you there?
He sounds worried. Hey, Eric.
You're okay?
I'm fine, fine. Why?
Well, it took me 8 tries to get through. They're reporting that New York's crawling with infected people. Something like 100,000 sick.
They're telling us it's 20,000, and they're busing them to treatment centers. Where'd you hear that number? I think about that estimate from earlier. 50,000 by noon. It's almost 3 o'clock.
About 5 minutes ago, on CNN. They did their own estimate based on what they're seeing by helicopter, and right after they said it, the screen went black.
Really? Are you sure they shut down CNN? Nellie and James look up at that.
That's what it seemed like. Cass, you guys should go to the apartment. You've got Dad's supplies in case you can't leave for a while.
We're heading there after work. Julio let us out early, but we're waiting for Penny. There's camping gear and food in the basement below the apartment we grew up in. Our landlady insisted I move in after my parents died. Eric, how about you? What's it like in Pennsylvania? Eric's always so sure of himself that I forget to worry about him sometimes.
They're reporting that there are some people infected. But you know, it's pretty rural here. Rachel and I are going to sit tight all weekend. I've got a couple of extra cans of food.
He jokes. I laugh. He's always planning for an emergency, just like Dad was.
Cass, Rachel's brother called and said he can't leave his apartment in Philly.
What do you mean, can't?
Too many infected in the streets.
Always
He can't go
leave
outside at all. People are getting attacked, and the police aren't doing shit.
outside of a trader.
Maybe you should head for the
Okay.
cabin if it gets worse. That's what I'll do too. We'll meet there if we can't get in touch again. Promise me, Cassie.
Eric knows I won't break a promise. Eric, I say cautiously, I can't promise that. We'll be fine in the apartment, I'm sure.
Okay.
How would I even get there? The F train? I try to lighten the mood by reminding him I don't have a car. None of us does.
I'm fucking serious,
He says. He sounds scared. Eric doesn't get scared. It's that edge in his voice that makes me listen as he goes on.
You know what to do. You're resourceful. Don't let your brain get in the way. Cass, I have a really bad feeling.
I'm silent. I am thinking too much. My dad used to say that nothing will get you killed faster than ignoring your instincts. 100,000 people. That's 5 Madison Square Gardens. 5 Madison Square Gardens worth of people wandering around basically rabid. I promise, E. I'll leave if it gets worse. He lets out a breath I didn't know he was holding.
Okay. I love you, Cass. Until the end of the world.
And after. Love you. We'll talk later, okay? I tell Nellie and James what Eric said, and we head for the TV.
Oh.
But where CNN should be,
That's
there's a Time
way
Warner
soon
Cable
in the
technical
to-do.
difficulty screen. James flips to NY1 News. It's still on at least. They say the situation in the West is resolving itself.
Sorry.
The virus is expected to be gone by Monday in all of the United States.
Bullshit.
James says. What's bullshit? Penny says as she walks in with her bag.
That this will be over by Monday. They've shut down CNN.
James replies. Really? Penny frowns and points at the TV. But they didn't shut down everything. Just the stations telling the truth, maybe, I say, which earns me an eyebrow raise from Nellie. I spoke to Eric. He says there are more infected here than they're saying. He made me promise I would go upstate if it came to that. Penny's eyes go round as she nods. Then she looks at her phone and remembers something. I left another message for my mom, telling her we're going to your apartment, but I have to go home first. Anna left a voicemail. The phone didn't even ring. She said she was coming home after work, but she forgot her keys. I can't get her to tell her to come to your house instead. Anna is her little sister.
Hot
She's always
diggity
forgetting
damn.
her keys, even though she's 25
Yeah,
years old.
I'm
And she expects
pre-celebrating.
someone to be there to open the door, just like she expects people to do anything else she wants. Penny wouldn't normally rush home for her, but today is different. So we'll go to your house and head to mine later, I say, like it's no big deal. But I picture a street in Philly where you can't even go outside, and I shiver. Chapter 6. I take deep breaths of the soft air as we head up the avenues. I grew up in this neighborhood, in a mixture of Irish and Puerto Rican families, and I've always loved it. The old ladies, their lined faces ranging from a pale ivory to a dark brown, are in their aluminum-legged chairs getting up to speed on winter gossip. Salsa music pours out of windows, barbecues are lit, and kids race around. I'm always glad I decided to move back when I walk home from work. Nellie watches the outdoor festivities and pouts.
See, everyone else gets to have fun. But no, we have to go hide inside.
Stop being a crybaby,
Being aware.
I say. He laughs, but I know what he means. It doesn't seem like things could be bad the way the neighborhood is out enjoying the day. No one seems to care.
I don't know why no one is listening to what's going on,
James says, and shakes his head. What's going on is that everything is fine, according to the news, Penny reminds us. Not everyone is dissecting everything they say and spending hours on the internet. Don't get me wrong, I'd rather be safe than sorry, but no one else thinks this is a big deal. Every step in these shoes has become torture. That's what I get for going for form over function. I can't even wear platforms without wobbling like an 8-year-old playing dress-up. I should have stuck to my boots. I consider taking them off, but the sidewalk is covered with a layer of what resembles congealed fat.
I'm gonna try.
We wait for cars to pass on the corner. I nudge Nellie
I'll put
and
this
point to
down,
James
leave the book
and
on.
Penny's intertwined
I'll be right
hands.
back. 1 minute.
He winks at me as I catch a glimpse of someone coming out from behind a dumpster. He's probably been taking a leak, and I don't want to embarrass either of us, so I avert my eyes. A rasping exhalation makes me turn again. An older man with dark, matted hair shuffles forward with a dirty hand out. At first, I think he must be asking for change, but his skin is gray, and his mouth gapes. Almost half of his neck is gone, like a bite was taken out of it. He must be infected. The wound is edged with black and filled with clotted blood and bits hanging that I really don't want to identify. The stench of something rotten wafts past. "Let's go!" James yells and yanks Penny's hand. My ankle twists as I turn, and I gasp at the jolt of pain. I have to get out of these stupid shoes. Nellie steadies my elbow as I kick them off, and we race across the street. Half-Neck follows. By the time we reach her building, he's halfway there. Penny scrambles to get her key in the lock of the outer door. Maybe we should just keep running. Come on, Penny begs. Her hand shakes, but her key slides in. We fall into the small vestibule as Penny works on the next lock. Half-Neck appears and spreads his hands on the door. Brown flakes smear off his filthy fingers onto the glass. His eyes are filmy. He sniffs the air with a guttural moan and paws at the door. "Come on, before he breaks the glass," Penny says. We rush through the second door. Once inside the second-floor apartment, the door locked behind
Fantastic.
us, I
We didn't
collapse on the
die.
couch. James runs to the window. "Oh my God," Penny
'Kay.
says, her hands at her
Great.
throat, like she's trying to hold in a scream.
It was necessary.
"What the fuck was that?"
Okay.
We're all silent, our chests heaving and eyes
Clear the
wide.
areas.
That's not what I thought an infected person looked like. He didn't look sick. He looked like a monster from a horror movie. And he chased us. My skin crawls when I realize he might be chasing other people right now. I'm calling 911. My voice sounds far away as I dial with a shaky hand. We can't let him walk around. After 20 rings, I hang up and try the landline.
I don't have
An
enough
automated voice
food.
tells me they're too busy to answer. They're not answering. This is not good. This is New York fucking City. They're too busy. Nellie watches out the window.
Still there. Penny, when's Anna coming home?
Penny jumps for the phone and presses redial over and over.
Anna?
She yells when she gets through.
Where are you? Okay, listen. There's a guy out front trying to attack people. Go to the service door. I'll stay on the phone with you. James and Nellie will open it so you can run right in. Do not come in the front.
A shrill voice sounds on the other end.
Anna, please, just do what I'm telling you to do.
She turns to Nellie and James.
She's 5 minutes away. Will you go make sure it's safe? One of you run back up if it's not.
They nod and leave.
They're on their way down.
She says into the phone. A couple of minutes pass in tense silence.
Is the door open? Go. I'll see you upstairs.
Penny grabs Anna in a hug as soon as she enters. Anna gives her a cursory pat, then pulls away and smooths her long hair. It's lighter than Penny's, with hints of gold. She wears brown suede knee-high boots and a long sweater with leggings. The sweater must cost as much as my yearly clothing budget, including my sandals back on the corner. Anna looks a lot like Penny, with her dark eyes and small nose, but she doesn't have Penny's curvy softness.
So, what's with the crazy guy downstairs?
Anna strides over to the window. He sits slumped against the glass of the door. He's not moving. I hope he's dead.
He tried to attack us on our way here,
James tells Anna.
That's what the infected people are doing. You get the virus through bodily fluids.
Anna turns from the window and shrugs.
So this is that swine flu or whatever? I can't believe people are going so crazy over it. The bar we were going to go to closed early. Now I get to spend Friday night here.
Now that she's safe, I want to put her out there again. Anna, I say, in my best stop being a little shit voice. Sorry your Friday night is ruined, but did you hear, James? The man tried to attack us. Your mother is stuck at the hospital with these people. There may be 100,000 infected in New York, and it isn't swine flu. Anna sticks out her bottom lip. Fine, whatever. She picks up her bag and saunters off to her room. I love Anna the way you love a little sister that you also don't like sometimes. That sweet little girl she'd been must still be in there. One summer at my parents' cabin, she had found an injured rabbit and nursed it back to health. She didn't trust anyone else to do it. When she and my dad let the healed bunny go, she sobbed and spent the rest of the week looking for more animals to save.
Whatever, indeed. At least she's safe.
Penny says, and she raises her eyes to heaven. Nellie pops the tops off 4 beers. James puts the TV on a local channel. CNN is still off air. I listen as I dial 911 over and over. Buses are filled to capacity with the sick. Family members are being asked to pin a note with the infected person's information onto their clothing and leave the area, with promises that they will be informed of the patient's progress. Police say this is to protect family members from being infected. We're going live to the scene at Lutheran Medical Center in Brooklyn. I set the phone down and move closer to the TV. A reporter stands outside of the hospital where Maria works. Penny leans forward like she's trying to catch a glimpse of her mom. The number of people out there is staggering. They're lying down, standing up, sitting. They shuffle forward onto a waiting string of buses. As each bus fills up and pulls away, it's replaced by a new one. City buses, school buses, Greyhound coaches. It looks like anything with more than 4 seats has been pressed into service. They've been funneling people onto buses for several hours, but more arrive to take their place. We were just informed we are being moved to an area a few blocks away for our own safety. We will continue to monitor the situation down here. Back to you. Nellie lowers the volume as the news anchor lists the treatment centers again. Penny sighs.
Well, I don't imagine my mom's going to be home soon. There must have been 500 people waiting out there. I just hope they're giving the nurses the antiviral medication.
Penny grabs her phone and walks to the window, trying her mom again. Her beer hits the wood floor in a foamy crash that makes us jump. One hand covers her mouth, and the other points to the street.
Okay. Well, I did the underground.
Chapter 7. There are 4 of them in front of an apartment building down the block, bent over on the shady side of the street. One is half-neck, astonishingly still alive, his head canted to the left. There's an old lady wearing a flowered house dress and wispy gray bun, a hipster with off-kilter aviator sunglasses, and a Hispanic man wearing a half-tucked shirt and jeans. The house dress lady stumbles away to reveal something meaty and glistening and pink. Only the hands and feet give any indication that it was once a person. The 4 of them are coated in fresh blood. It's smeared around their mouths and drips from their hands. It runs down the concrete into the street. My stomach heaves, and I lean on the windowsill. I want to scream at them to stop, but that would alert them to us, and the person is obviously dead. I run and dial 911. Fast, busy. I try again and again as the others stare out the window. 911, what's your emergency? A voice asks. I'm watching 4 of the infected on the street. They're ripping someone apart. I'm on... The voice cuts me off. Ma'am, is the person they're attacking dead? Can you tell? What kind of question is that? Yes, I think the person's dead, but... Ma'am, we can't send any police out now. If you give me your address, they'll take the infected into custody as soon as possible. I give her the address. Do you know when they're coming? I'm afraid they'll hurt someone else. No, ma'am, I don't. She has that officially harried voice every civil servant in New York City adopts. And please stay in your home. The police will be there soon, and they are equipped to handle the situation. Yes, of course. Thanks. I hang up, adding, for nothing. I move back to the window. They're not even coming. Well, James says, without tearing his eyes away. At least they answered this time. I can't stop watching either. It's so horrifying that the minute I stop looking, I think there's no way it can be real. So I look back. They aren't just attacking. They're eating. Nellie says, and shakes his head in disbelief. He heads into the kitchen and sits at the table. I follow him to get paper towels to clean up the spill. He's as pale as I've ever seen him, but his mouth is set in a firm line.
I know you promised Eric you'd leave if it was bad.
I nod.
I thought that was a little over the top. But now, I don't know. What do you think?
What we just saw wasn't simply someone a little ill and violent. I don't want to sound like a maniac, but I'm scared. And I promised Eric. I want to go upstate, I say. James comes to the doorway with his arm around Penny's shoulders.
They don't have this under control, he says. I mean, there are people eating someone on the corner and it's not even a fucking priority. They're not telling us the truth. People still think it's safe.
It's true. I can hear music and the sounds of happy shouting blocks away.
Okay.
Nellie says, his hands fisted on the table. His expression is incredulous, but his nod is firm.
Then we should leave. I can't believe this. This is insane.
I've always thought it would be great to have Nellie's total belief just once in my and James's crazy imaginings. But I find that this is one time I really, truly want to be wrong. Chapter 8. A yell from the street snaps us out of our silence. 5 young guys grip baseball bats and pieces of rebar and move in on the infected, who are so busy with their meal they don't notice. A length of rebar connects with Aviator Glass's head, while the owner of the rebar yells with the effort. It splits his head open with a crack that carries down the block and through the window glass. There's surprisingly little blood, although my stomach lurches at the sight. Another bludgeons the older man. Halfneck and the old lady turn toward the 3 men left. "Now!" yells the biggest guy. Halfneck and old lady don't stand a chance. They're down in seconds and bashed repeatedly until their heads are just a memory. The big guy straightens up and wipes his forehead with a bandana from his back pocket. Before I can stop myself, I throw the kitchen window wide open. "Hey, thanks," I call. They look up and around until they see me and move to stand under us. Penny leans out of the living room window and waves.
Oh, hey! You Maria Diaz's girl, right?
It's
The leader
Guillermo.
asks. Penny nods.
Listen, you need to stay inside. They're everywhere.
He gives us a stern, big brother look. "Are they all like this? So violent?" I ask. "They said they were attacking people, but it looked like they were eating."
Oh, they're eating.
He grimaces.
Make no mistake. And you have to get their heads or they don't go down easy. Cut their necks or something. Crazy shit. You know, like zombies.
A younger kid wearing a baseball hat chimes in with lit-up eyes.
It is, man. They are zombies. It's just like that game. You know, the one where you... Christ, Carlos,
The leader says.
this is no game. You see that body? That could be you or your mom's or your sister.
He looks up at us as Carlos surveys the remains
Not fun,
and
Carlos.
quiets.
Guillermo's just
Sorry,
trying to
we gotta go.
tell
I'm
you
picking up
what's
my
up.
little sister from a friend's house. Stay inside. Be safe. Tell your mom's Guillermo said hi.
Penny says she will.
Okay.
We watch as they walk down the rest of the block and pause before every doorway.
Zombies.
James mutters.
Jesus.
It's silent. Penny finally speaks.
gonna
I'm
fall.
willing to entertain the idea that this virus is out of control. I'll leave New York as soon as my mom comes home. She'll know how bad it is. But zombies? Come on.
She crosses her arms, her face tight. Penny is practical and even-tempered like her mother, but I can see the doubt in her eyes, even as she insists it can't be true. They were eating that person, as hard as it is to believe.
Yeah, they were.
You just saw them, Pen. James gestures toward the window, then squeezes her shoulder gently. I can't rule anything out. Can you? Penny shakes her head, arms still crossed. He knocks a cigarette out of his pack. I haven't smoked since I quit again a year ago, but I think I can break the rule this once.
Okay.
James
Let's
is
not
smoking out the window,
break
as
my
no
leg.
one in their right mind would send him outside,
All right.
so I drag a chair over.
I break my
He
leg every
knows
time
what I'm
I use
after and
stairs.
hands me his, lighting another for himself. Thanks, I say, and take a deep drag. The nicotine tingles down to the tips of my fingers and toes. I can smoke if it's the zombie apocalypse, at least. What's my life expectancy anyway? 1 week, maybe 2? James chokes on his smoke as I grin at him. You're sick. Humor is the last refuge of the damned. That's what my mom used to say. I take another drag. I don't know what else to do.
Please don't die.
James closes his
I really don't
eyes.
wanna die.
I stare down to where Half-Neck and Old Lady are sprawled on the concrete. The windows of the building across the street are filled with people. A little girl with a ponytail waves at me, and I wave back. I can't imagine what her
knew there's
parents are
death
telling
in
her about
here.
all this. James' eyes open suddenly.
Okay.
Does it really matter?
He asks us.
I mean, I'm sure they're not really zombies, but they're
try
acting like them.
something here.
If this is spreading fast, we need to get out of here before the rest of New York figures out the same thing. We can't afford to sit around waiting.
He's right. The trick is to leave before everyone else does. Anna wanders into the living room. Zombies? I stub out my cigarette and answer, yeah,
We're gonna
it seems the virus is
try
creating something close to zombies.
thing here.
Ew. Anna makes a face. Not about zombies, but about the cigarette. She waves her hand at the smoke that's nowhere near her. So, what are we supposed to do?
Leave the city.
Nellie
There's
says.
definitely
He sits next to Penny,
stuff in
who's
here.
chewing on a fingernail, and pats the couch on his other side. And go where? She asks. My parents' house upstate, I say. If we can get there. Anna purses her lips. Seriously?
Oh, Return to
talk to
Trader?
Mama
When
first,
did that
Anna,
happen?
and
It was
bring her
way
too.
worse
Don't
last
worry.
time.
Penny reaches across Nellie and squeezes her hand.
Cool, I'm done here.
I'll try her, Anna says, and grabs her phone. Oh, Mama texted. It looks like she texted us both hours ago, but I'm only getting it now. I wonder why no one is panicking when even making a simple phone call is a challenge. But I guess it was the same during 9/11 and the blackout.
I got caught up
Maybe
in
we're used to it.
the story.
Penny checks her phone and shakes her head. I don't have it. What's it say?
Okay.
Virus very bad. Meet you at Cassie's after work. Bring clothes. We leave city tonight. Explain later. Love you, Mama. Penny's eyes are huge behind her glasses. Anna shakes her head. No way. Mama's as bad as the rest of you. I'm relieved. Not that it's turning out to be as bad as James and I thought, but that we've gotten permission to follow our instincts. That maybe we're not so crazy after all. Chapter 9. Penny and Anna pack bags for themselves and their mother while we wait. Nellie smiles at me, but the smile doesn't touch his eyes. I plop down next to him on the couch. What's wrong? That's a stupid question. I mean, specifically, what's wrong? He looks down at his hands clasped between his knees. It's been years since he's worked on a ranch, but they still look like he does. He raises his eyes.
All those people out front of the hospital. If they're all like those four, then how are they going to control them?
I know. It's still early. Maybe there's some way. I changed the subject. Have you spoken to your parents again?
My mom emailed before we left work. They're fine. Just a few sick there. They're together, so I'm not too worried.
Nellie's mom and dad and 5 siblings live near each other. They have cattle and a lot of guns. On my first visit, Nellie had let them swagger around and show the city girl how to hold a gun. Then I picked up a 20 gauge and blasted a can on a stump. Their mouths hung open until Nellie laughed and explained that my dad had taught me how to shoot when I was a kid. Yeah, I agree. They'll be okay. I rest my head on his shoulder and wish I had parents to call. My dad was always ready for an emergency. When I was young, it had been fun. Target practice, pioneer skills, food storage, conspiracy theories. As I got older, I'd thought he was wacky in a lovable sort of way. And as life went on, with no great emergencies lasting over a 3-day snowstorm, I ceased believing that something could go monumentally wrong. It was unimaginable that anything worse than both my parents dying in one moment could happen. There'd been no way to prepare for that. So, James's voice breaks into my thoughts. I'm seeing over 200,000 estimated infected here. The government has to be stretched pretty thin at this point, especially since the rest of the country is fighting the same thing. My dad always said it was better to be over-prepared than under-prepared, that he wouldn't feel like a fool if nothing ever happened, and that only in recent decades did people think planning for a lean future was a waste of time. James taps a finger on his tablet. The cities that were hit first are at 40% infection. So that means if infection rates hold true, we could be looking at those numbers in days. Of course, this is all dependent on if they've quarantined most of the sick by now.
Well, look who decided
That's
to
almost
show
half the
face
city.
again.
I can't even fathom what that would be like. Maybe these websites are wrong, and the Department of Health is right. Maybe they can stop it, I say. You would think that they would have seen what should have been done in the Midwest and started doing it here. James gives a sardonic laugh, and I admit he's probably
You gotta
right.
be the dumbest son of a bitch
I
I've
miss
ever
my
seen.
dad.
Can't you
It always
see we're
seemed like nothing bad could
overstocked
happen
on
if he was there to protect me. I remember standing down in the basement of their apartment as Dad showed me all the organized bins.
those? All that
He had
gawking
handed me a
goods,
heavy
and that's all
backpack.
you buy?
This is for you.
What's in it, an anvil?
Funny. It's your B.O.B., your bug-out bag. It has what you need if you have to leave the city
Circling
quickly.
me.
I hugged him and laughed. Okay, nutso. He hugged me back, smiling but serious.
Keep it in your closet. I hope you never need it. But when I got to thinking about how you didn't have one with you, now that you're out of the house, I couldn't sleep.
I patted his bushy hair. He tried to keep it tamed, but it grew in cowlicks and puffs with a life of its own. Of course you couldn't. How could anyone sleep soundly without a backpack full of escape gear? He smiled, but then shook his head at my levity.
All this
He motioned at the bins, the cans of food.
is for you and Eric. I hope you never need it. My greatest fear is that I wouldn't be able to take care of you guys. It's a nightmare. You'll understand one day.
I gave him a kiss. Well, thank you, Daddy. I do appreciate it. Truly. I'll keep this handy. I knew it gave him a modicum of feeling in control, and it was harmless, really. He wasn't one of those people who sat around hoping the world would end. He just felt more secure when he was prepared for anything. That bag is in the basement right now, still packed with what he thought would keep me safe. I'll go through that first.
So, y'all, it's great we're leaving town and all, but just what are we leaving town in?
Nellie asks. I was thinking we could take one of the vans from work, I say. There are a couple of 10-passenger vans in the lot behind the building. Nellie and I both have driven them in the past.
I was thinking the same thing.
James says with a nod. A rumbling echoes down the hall. Anna enters, rolling a suitcase
You're not
and wearing
bringing
ballet
counterfeit
flats.
money in here, are you?
Huh, Nellie says, completely straight-faced.
I'm thinking someone hasn't grasped the gravity of the situation.
James mutters to Nellie. I attempt to keep my voice light. Anna,
192
do you have a
versus
backpack?
120. That's cool.
I still have one from school. Why? Maybe you should pack in that.
I'm already
I look
overstocked
down at
on
my bare
those.
feet. And shoes you can run in would probably be good. Her upper lip curls. Fine. Do you want to help me pack?
Yeah.
Why not?
I definitely
I wink at James and
do.
Nellie, who are still snickering, and follow her down the hall. Anna must have thought we were heading to the Caribbean, since I removed gauzy
can
tank
shove
tops,
that
a makeup
right up
bag,
your
and a pair
ass.
of heeled sandals from her bag. Now she's outfitted in a pair of
Motherfucker,
decent
I'm already
shoes,
overstocked
jeans,
on
and a
those.
sweater. Penny's in a similar outfit. I'm scared, you guys, she says. Her lower lip trembles, and I give her a hug. Whatever. So there are thousands of people who want to eat us alive. I don't see what the big deal is. The face I
Okay,
know
careful
almost
out
as
there.
well as my own
Wouldn't
breaks
wanna
into a
get
smile.
hurt.
We can always make each other laugh, no matter how
Alright,
bad
we
it
are
is.
going to end the night
We always
at the end
have,
of this chapter,
ever since that
which is
sad
in
girl whose
40
papa had
seconds.
just died walked into my 5th grade class.
We will start tomorrow
Love
at
you,
chapter 10.
she
if
whispers
you're
and grabs
interested,
my hand. Love you back.
'cause
I
we are
squeeze.
empty for the day.
It'll be all right.
I'm gonna go home and get
James
some food.
opens his arms, and she steps into his gangly embrace. I nod at Anna's look, and she grins. She's always dying for Penny to meet
drive
someone,
way
so I
across
know she's
town.
pleased, even if she thinks he's a geek.
Dang it.
Nellie stands up and claps his hands.
Dang
Shall
it.
we? We shall, I say, as I link my arm into his.
Alright, we are good for the night.